Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I welcome you to the YouTube channel of Multan Public School and College for Boys and Girls. This is History and Culture of Pakistan 20591 for O Level 8. We are studying chapter number 2, that is, what were the causes and consequences of the decline of the Mughal Empire. Let's have a look of the topics which we had discussed in our previous lectures. Among them, the Mughal Empire before Aurangzeb Alamgir, and here we discussed about early Mughal rulers. Then the reign of Aurangzeb and his policies in detail, the end of the Mughal Empire, the causes of the decline of great Mughal rule, and the arrival of the British in India, and the role of East India Company in establishing British rule in India. Our today's topic is British expansion and Indian resistance from 1750s to 1850s. That how British expanded their rule in India, and to know more or in detail about that, we need to discuss the following events in detail. The Battle of Palasi in 1756, the Battle of Buxar in 1764, and exploitation of Bengal by the East India Company, then the intervention of the British government to stop or control East India Company from this mismanagement, corruption and anarchy in India. Battle of Palasi took place on 23rd June 1757 between the Nawab of Bengal, Nawab Sirajuddaulah, and British East India Company. Battle of Palasi is very important topic and it comes for 4 marks question in your papers. Like what happened at Palasi in 1757, this can come for 4 marks question, and it is also there in some of the past papers. And first of all, we have to discuss that what were the reasons for having this war, for having this battle between East India Company and Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaulah. Firstly, English company's behavior. Here we are talking about East India Company, whose behavior towards Nawab of Bengal was not acceptable. Why? Because they were not paying the taxes. The company was not paying the taxes, they created revenue loss, and they were also very much disrespectful to Nawab and his administration. And Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaulah, ruled this part of India from 1756 to 1757. Just because of the behavior of the EIC, he had to be strict with them. And the same reason became the cause of the Battle of Palasi in 1757. Because East India Company wanted puppet rulers, and for that they were creating politics in the subcontinent. When Sirajuddaulah came to know about this, he decided to capture Fort William, which was situated in Calcutta. That was the place of British. Many of the British were living inside that fort. Sirajuddaulah collected the army of 30,000 soldiers and he attacked the Fort William and made British captive over there. When this news reached to the British in Madras, where they were seated, they sent naval fleets under the command of Robert Clive. Robert Clive was one of the most successful and brave general of British Army. And the question about Robert Clive also comes in the exam, like who was Robert Clive? This question comes for 4 marks. So the war was fought between Robert Clive and Nawab Sirajuddaullah's army. Robert Clive was very clever. He made agreement with Mir Jafar Mir Jafar was commander of Nawab's army and was his cousin also. He was a traitor. He deceived Siraj-ud-Dawla, and during the war, Mir Jafar took the large portion of army away from the battlefield, which resulted in the defeat of Siraj-ud-Dawla's army. In the result of this, Siraj-ud-Dawla had to flee. He was taken or captured by the forces of Mir Jafar and was assassinated then. Now, as promised, after a victory in the war, Robert Clive made Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal and he himself became the governor. This showed how British control was growing. Thus, one of India's richest provinces fell under British control. Mir Jafar was forced to give the East India Company, gifts of land and money, which helped make some of the EIC officials very rich. Moving towards next point, Battle of Buxar in 1764. A few personalities over here are important to know about. Hector Munro, British Army officer; Shah Alam II, the Mughal Emperor; Mir Qasim; Shuja-ud-Dawla, Nawab of Oudh. They were patriotic rulers and wanted to drive East India Company out of Bengal. Mir Jafar was replaced by his son Mir Qasim in 1760. And Hector Munro fought from company side because Robert Clive left India and moved to England, where he received very warm welcome by the British because of his victory in Battle of Palasi. So Major Hector Munro won the battle from British side and these three fought against him. And due to the lack of coordination, they defeated in this battle. Although they were large in number, but they had a lack of coordination which resulted in their defeat and they were unable to defeat the British. Later on, Mir Qasim fled to northwest and he committed suicide. Shah Alam II sought shelter in British camps. And because of help of Shah Alam II, the British were able to collect revenues from the areas of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, and also extended its influence in Oudh. So British established a start to their rule in India. Next point is exploitation of Bengal. The East India Company had been established to gain as much profit as possible, but its greed after Buxar embarrassed the British government. The company was making huge profits from its monopoly of the trade in Bengal, and company merchants were increasing their wealth. Whilst they were making huge profits, the local people were exploiting and many of them were died in a serious famine which hit Bengal. Even British themselves have admitted that such a scene of anarchy, confusion, bribery and corruption was never seen or heard of in any country but Bengal. So the British government was forced to act to stop this misgovernment of East India Company. The intervention of British government. British government did not like this attitude of East India Company and it could not leave lands in hands of a trading company. So it introduced an Act of Parliament in 1773. This act called for proper government in India and required the EIC to provide good government to stop this anarchy. But this act could not prove fruitful, so that British government introduced another India Act in 1784, which is also called the Pitt's India Act sometimes. And under this act, the British government took direct control of the Indian possessions. A Governor General was appointed who would have control over 3 presidencies and there would be provincial governors along. A commander-in-chief of the armed forces was also appointed, and the EIC continued to trade, but it lost most of its administrative powers, which were taken by the British government now. Now, the expansion of British rule. After setting up their new administration system in India, the British government continued to expand British control. In 1782, the first Governor General of India, Warren Hastings, signed a peace treaty ending the First Marathan War. This gave British an opportunity to increase their influences as the threat of Marathas was over now. In 1719, Governor General Wellesley invaded Mysore and killed Tipu, the Sultan of Mysore, and the British then took control of his lands. In the same year, 1799, the Nawabs of Oudh were defeated and forced to grant large areas of their territory to the British. In 1803, the British entered Delhi and forced the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam to accept that he was ruling under British protection. They took last Mughal ruler Shah Alam under their protection. In 1818, the Marathas were defeated by British forces and finally forced to accept British control. In this way, the British were expanding their control in different parts of India. Okay, students, we stop this topic over here. In our next lecture, we will discuss that how did the British took control of the rest of the parts in India. Be ready for the homework now. Students, you need to read all discussed points thoroughly from your textbook. Listen this lecture keenly and write the answers of these questions in your notebooks very neatly and carefully. Question number 1. What happened at Palasi in 1757? Question number 2. Who was Robert Clive? Question number 3. Why was an Act of Parliament concerning India passed in Britain in 1773? Question number 4. How was the British system of government organized in India from 1784? Okay, do these questions and note down the points if you want to discuss something in our upcoming meet lecture. Thank you. Stay safe, stay blessed.